there is such a history in so many communities of keeping capital circulating within those communities to help with startup funds and to keep businesses healthy. What do you think is this generation, this digital generation's version of that?
It's a good question. I think it's ever changing. I definitely see a push for people wanting to democratize access. So I think it's one thing to have dollars circulating within a community, but I think the biggest thing is make sure there's enough capital to start out with, and that's really what we're focused on at Harlem Capital. So I do see crowdfunding as the next big wave. You do see diverse general partners starting more firms, and I think the biggest thing is just having more education and access. So not just the capital, but also the information and mentorship that goes with it.
Now, I see empowerment as such an important theme across so many things that we're talking about. We're talking about potential unionizing of Amazon warehouse laborers in Alabama, right? Labor wanting empowerment through collective action there. We're just talking about Bitcoin and keeping Bitcoin circulating in transactions with Tesla's move today that they announced to hold Bitcoin. It seems that there's a move for different types of empowerment for different groups of people across the economy, but knowledge and education has to be a part of that too, right?
I agree. I mean, at least on the venture capital side, we have seen that there are people that have a good amount of information and knowledge, but if you actually think about how the big dollars move, that has been a little bit more opaque and elusive. So I do think education and empowerment is very important, but I think at some point, at least when it comes to entrepreneurship, people need capital so they can take risk. I mean, you can't even build the next Amazon or Facebook or Twitter if you don't have the millions of dollars to start out with. And if you think about the wealth gap, people of color have much less wealth than the median white family, and they're starting from behind. So it's a very multifaceted problem. I mean, I think in general, I'm happy to see more people getting invested, really thinking about different ways to get capital and different ways to support labor, but as well as entrepreneurs.
Jared, how do you encourage startups to focus or keep an eye on diversity at the earliest level when some of these biggest decisions are made? I was kind of amazed to see Instacart, one of the country's biggest unicorns, it has just a 4-person board, 3 white men plus the founder, and its CEO told me that having a small board has actually been helpful at the growth stage. So how do you encourage some of these companies, also ones that have grown so big already, to make this a priority earlier on?
Yes, it has to start early and it has to start from the top. Once you have a team that is pretty homogenous, it is very tough to diversify. I think, one, you probably are all in sync. You have groupthink, but also any new person doesn't want to be the only one. And so you have this cycle where once you start off on the wrong foot, it's very tough. We have some information that at least for publicly traded companies, more diverse boards lead to outperformance. I think it's tougher at the earlier stage where there's less data points. I do definitely respect companies' willingness to stay nimble, but you should absolutely at minimum have a diverse executive team, a diverse employee base. And once you get to the stage, the Series C, Series D level, and are potentially going public, at that point, you should absolutely have diverse board members.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.